We've got a lot of crowds to my right that are wandering around. They're getting up close with some of the yachts. Some have travelled from Queensland, Victoria, all around Australia actually. Some are keen sailors, others just want to soak up the atmosphere. But it is a really lovely crowd since those super maxis got in the early hours of this morning. We've had a steady stream of smaller boats that are arriving, and every time that happens, the small but very vocal crowd cheers them on. So it's a lovely atmosphere. Now, hundreds actually turned out in the very early hours to welcome in Comanche. So they arrived just before 1 o'clock this morning, Joe. So it was great to see the crowds turning out to cheer them in. They came in at 1 day, 11 hours and 56 minutes. So not a race record or not a new one. So they still hold on to their 2017 race record, but still a huge achievement, particularly given that they had such a poor start on Boxing Day as they were coming out of Sydney-Hobart. As you know, they got jammed between several boats and also had to do a penalty turn as well. Now, we heard from skipper John Winning, very good name for him because he's got that winning smile, and here's what he had to say, Joe.
I think that the team on board did the best we could. We'd set out to obviously do whatever we could to stay clear and clean, and I think we did a good job of that. We knew our routing had us, a few hours ahead if we sailed perfectly, and we certainly didn't sail perfectly. I can't remember a race I've ever sailed perfectly. You always make mistakes, but I think we did a good job with what we had, and wherever we could, we were just sort of taking a conservative approach, being safe, and just letting the boat do the work once we were sort of round out of the traffic and in the open water.
And so as soon as they did get out onto the open water, that's when Comanche thrived. They led most of the way, but there was a lot of jostling between second, third and fourth place. So Law Connect actually ended up taking second place. They came in 27 minutes after the winners. And then we had Blackjack, who were last year's Line Honour winners. They came in at third, and Hamilton Island Wild Oats came in fourth, Joe.
And so that tactic of heading further out to sea seems to have worked, because those yachts that came in 1, 2, 3 all went out a bit further than Wild Oats, didn't they? And what's it like out there in Bass Strait now? Because there's still a big proportion of the fleet out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see here the winds have picked up. We've had rubbish just flying around us as we're talking. But out to sea, I can't even imagine what it's like out there. There is a marine warning currently in place, and we did chat to the Weather Bureau a short time ago that said there were 20 to 30 knot winds. So it's quite significant out there at the moment. And there's a warning in place for the lower east coast of Tasmania, which is where some of these boats are positioned at the moment, some of the smaller ones. So they really will be feeling it at the moment. Now, there have actually been a number of retirements. There's been 7 in total, some not only a short time ago. And that was due to a number of factors, but one of the main ones that we're hearing is rudder damage. So we also saw one of the boats actually overnight had to be escorted back to shore by New South Wales Water Police because of the damage that they suffered. And just a short time ago, we learned that a crew member on board Moneypenny, which has now docked here in Hobart, actually suffered a cut to his right leg. We understand he's okay, it's quite minor, but he was, of course, treated by ambulance officers here at Constitution Dock. Now, we also heard Stefan Racing. They were in 5th position for most of the way. They got into the River Derwent, and it was very close between them and Willow, but unfortunately they suffered a torn sail, so that was there was only a minute difference between them, and that did cost them that 5th position. I spoke to the skipper on board, Grant Warrington, a short time ago. Here's what he had to say.
A new bit of breeze came through and we got stuck with a jib that was too big, so it's like maximum 18, 20 knot wind speed sail, and we got like 30, 33 knots or something. This just broke in half, and it was quite an old sail. Anyway.
So after some really glorious conditions on day one of the race, things did turn overnight, and it really does go to show what this, this is really a mental but also a very physical race as well, and it just makes us admire them even more, Joe.
Liz Coon reporting there from Constitution Dock in Hobart.